Hello and welcome back to 16 Years and Nc500. You find me on the banks of the River Bora and the Gulf Explorer. And yeah, it's a bit of a tricky ledge walking down this one, but it's more interesting than walking up the roadside. I was going to stay up in Hemsdale, but the places up there, one was a parking spot outside a pub that just didn't look open, so I wasn't happy about that. Oh God. I can see me going in the river in a minute. Don't really want to be doing that. Yeah, which it didn't look open, so I wasn't going to chance it. And it was right on the A9, so I definitely didn't like that one. Oh, big rocks, you have to excuse me here. My speaking is going to be quite sporadic. Yeah, I actually got a word out for once. Okay, I wasn't expecting it to get quite this tough. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. And the other place was down by the harbour side, but that had houses overlooking it, which I weren't really interested in, to be truthfully honest. And that actually brings me on to some tips about van lifing or car lifing, generally travelling around in a vehicle and staying in a vehicle for a long time, and bits on the North Coast 500. You're going to have to bear with me. I honestly did not think it was going to be quite like this. Oh, I hope I don't go in. I have to launch my phone to one side. I don't want to lose the phone. Hey, there we go. My word, that's quite a deep river as well. Yeah, but up there with tips of what should we do? We'll start with the Nc500 and then other tips that come into it as well. First tip I'll give you is, if you've got only a limited amount of time, go up the west coast and come across the north coast, and then come back down the rest of it, because the west coast at the start of it, you got a lot of highways and everything like that, but when you start getting past places like Apple Cross and that, it goes into single tracks. Wow, look, a pavement. It starts going into single tracks and that, and it takes a hell of a lot longer time. And on that note, just for a really good tip, oh, don't tell me the road path ends. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to have to turn around here. Please don't say that. Oh no, I might be lucky. That looks real sketch. Can I get across that? I really don't know. There's a stone path there, but it's just where it's rained too much. Let's have a look. Trying to do this while filming is not the greatest of ideas. That looks like fawn. That don't look strong enough. That looks slippery. That looks fawny. Can I make it? I made it! I made it! I made it! Wow, I can't believe that. Now I'm onto slippery rocks. Great. All good fun. Yeah, where it is single track roads, if you're driving slower than the people behind you, please, at the next passing point, pull over. You know, a lot of us think, oh well, we're up on holiday, so is everybody else. But everybody's got to go to work, and they do the work, and there's a lot of farmers that use them roads. And if they've got to get out to their sheep and everything like that, they're not going to be wanting to hang around for, you know, somebody that's dawdling along and not paying attention to their rear view mirrors. And I have seen it, and I've had it go back my way, where a farmer's been dawdling along and I'm blasting behind him with William, me and a Subaru. Yeah, and they pull over. It's just common courtesy to do that. So that's tip number one. What's another tip? Yeah, as I said, as I was saying, go up the west coast, come across the north coast, always pop into places like Bessie Hill. They might look like small little villages, but by word, they've got some of the most friendliest people, and they're a life send for bits that you might want to pick up. And then yeah, after you get past that point, especially Betty Hill, it starts, oh, I've got to get up this muddy incline, it starts opening back up again, and then all the way along the rest of that, and all the way, oh cry my, I am so going to be going in a minute. I know it. It's a bit of a bigger thing. Well, you can say this video is quite comical if nothing else. Right, now do I go? I'll go that way. I have to turn around, It's about time I got some walking in. Yeah, and then it all opens back up. So if you spend too much time coming up the west coast and along the north coast, by the time you hit the east coast, you'll be able to make up a lot of time. Well, pretty little poppies. And that decorating the trees. Oh, that's that. Nice. Oh, got some more of them down here. Butterfly up there. This was meant to be giving you advice. Oh well, it's a bit of everything, I suppose. Next bit of advice, which is basically all over. You know, if you've got cassette toilets, yeah, if you're going to empty them into a toilet, clean up your rubbish afterwards. I've seen it so many times, and that is what really gets to the locals. It's not so much you're using, you know, your cassettes to put down, use the toilets to put your cassettes down. Look at this, little mushrooms and everything. Absolutely little sweetheart, that is. I'm going to carry on. It's the fact of, and I've seen it so many times, is when you go in there and you just see it covering everything, and you just, oh my word. And believe me, because I'm in Williams, Super Jubilee Walk, you have to excuse me. I think I'm coming down with a cold. I don't know. Might be just because it's cold. Yeah, and I have to use them because I'm in William and I haven't got a toilet. You know, so I have to give up the rights to parking places where, oh, that's icy, where it says that you must be self-contained. That's quite a few places, believe me or not. But yeah, that's up there for one of the things that really annoys the locals. Another thing that properly annoys the locals, because I don't know if you noticed, I love talking, is if you see a camper van parked up, yeah, don't automatically think, oh, there's one parked up, that must mean it's okay to park up. Be polite. That's what I've done every time, everywhere. And I've got away with parking in places where it says no overnight parking. And I've never had one person bib at me. I've not had anybody having a go at me. Just be polite. Go into a local shop, hotel, restaurant, them sort of places. Don't get run over. Thank you. Always wave. Yeah, and ask. You know, I know you might be incredibly shy, but believe me, biting on the bullet, well, yeah, when you're told whatever, you know, and just sucking it up and going and asking someone in the local shop and whatnot is a lot better than you start cooking, get your tables and that out, and somebody comes along, starts screaming and shouting at you because you're not meant to be parked there. Because believe me, they do get wound up with people not asking, and then they end up with anything from 5 to 50 to 100 campers, vans and everything else just parked up, and nobody goes into the local pub. That's another top tip. Goes into the local pub and everything like that. I'm not saying everybody's like this. I'm just going on my experiences of what I've seen, and the reason I've been so lucky to pull off what I pulled off with me and William. Go on the icy path. If I go arse over to it, it'll give you something to laugh about. Yeah, that's another top tip. You know, go into a local pub, have a meal and whatnot. You know, if not, you know, a lot of the times what I do is I'll go into a local shop and I've asked them, they're like, not really, mate, not around here. And then you go, well, I'm buying some bits and pieces, whether it be beer, butter, you know, baguettes or whatever it is. You go, well, is there anywhere close by that's okay to park up? And 9 times out of 10, because you're spending in the local area and you've been polite enough to ask, they'll go, actually, I know a decent spot. And they'll direct you to it, even on Google and whatnot. And because you've asked them, oh my God, the car park where William is worse than that. I'll go on the road on it. You know, and because you've been polite enough to ask in the local shops and everything like that, when everybody else sees you, because 9 times out of 10 they all go into the same shop, and they all, like, because they're more than likely small towns that we go into. Oh, lovely little place this is. I'm on the A9, I must admit. Everybody talks about it, so when they see you down there, they'll say good morning to you, they'll come up and say hello, ask you how you're doing. You know, I even had at one point, many months ago, right, let's try and get out of the roadside here and try and get to somewhere a little bit quieter. Where I was in a place called Marton. You want church bell? Not a church bell, it's just a clock bell. Clock bell? Bell clock. One of them. Yeah, we're going down here, it should be a little bit quieter. Yeah, a place called Marton in between Horncastle and Lincoln. And my budget had run low. And I was parked up by the River Trent there. And I asked everybody that I'm from budget low, I've got bits and pieces, do you mind if I stay here tonight or for the next few nights? And they're like, yeah, that's perfectly okay, you know, just don't litter, which is another top one, you know, that all of us keep branding about. And I know it's the minority that don't do it, but even if it's a bit of, you know, paper that flies away from you, run after it. Please run after it, because it all accumulates. But yeah, because I didn't litter and I was polite to everybody and I spoke to everybody, on the final night, there was a couple, man and a woman, whatever couple you want, but this was a man and a woman, come down, they had 2 big bowls with them and some beers. I thought, what a lovely picnic they're going out for. And they actually came up to me and they gave me a big bowl of minestrone soup, a big bowl of tomato and herb pasta, some crusty bread with butter and a few Peroni beers. And they just wanted to sit down, because I've been polite, have a chat about my adventure. And, you know, I'm not saying everybody's going to get that happen to them, but it just goes to show what politeness really does come along, and it does go a long way. That brings me up to the top one that irritates me more than any of the rest of them. And I know I'm a volunteer litter picker, you know, oh hello buddy, volunteer litter picker, and I've named a few other things, but this is more for the motorhomes, and I have seen this so many times. You might not think that people can't see the water coming out of the bottom of your motorhome because it's underneath, but believe me, they see it. And it is one thing that winds him up. It's been that bad when I was coming back from Marseille, and the first person in the queue was a motorhome to get on the ferry. And lo and behold, what's coming out from underneath that motorhome? All the effluent waste. Whether it's shower, whether it's washing up, whether it's from the toilet, it's still just straight on the deck. And it stinks. It absolutely stinks. It might not stink when it's going down there, but believe me, when it comes out, it stinks. And then of course, we're parked up in these pretty little places that are out the way where people take their kids to go, to go walking with their kids or take their dogs and walk. They get out of the car, what happens? Either splodge or they smell it, and that's where the bad name comes from. And believe me, that's up there. When I ask people what is the #1 bugbear, it's up there. You know, number 2 is so many people parking in these small little towns and not using any of the shops or the bars or the restaurants or anything like that. They wouldn't mind if you use stuff, because they'll earn a bucket load of money, and who doesn't want to earn a bucket load of money? Yeah, and number 3 is emptying cassettes, and littering is about number 3. Because most places have volunteer litter pickers and they have council to clean the toilets. But you know, when you're just emptying it in the middle of like pristine, lovely little places, oh, it winds them up. It really does. But other than that, good points about it I should really go into. It's going to be a long video, but that's because of the walk back there. Let's carry on down here. We'll go to the coast side. Good things about it is the freedom of it. Everybody says, oh, I like a backyard, I like a bed and everything like that. I have a bed. It's comfy. Slightly narrow, but comfy. For a garden, I wake up with a different garden every single day. I wake up to views like this. I've woken up to views on top of cliff sides, down valleys, you know, on top of mountains, and I do mean on top of mountains. Not just like on the edge, I mean right at the very top of them. I've woken up in all parts of England, I've woken up in all parts of Wales, all parts of Scotland, as a lot of you new people have seen, you know, and I've done 7 weeks in Ireland, which is a good top tip for me. If there is one place that you want to, you have to excuse me, really rude of me. One place I would say, if you're going for a long tour of like over, you know, 3 or 4 weeks, and you're going for quite a long tour, go to Ireland for your first tour. It is so much easier over there. There's toilets and, you know, restaurants and everything like that everywhere you turn. The petrol garage, you've got a full deli with some of the most brilliant and best food that you've ever tried. So it's like, well, not my mother's cooking, but you know, the euphemism of saying your mum's cooking. It's proper home cooked kitchen food, and it's absolutely yummy. And there's always food there, and usually there's always somewhere to empty your cassettes around there, fill up with water, and they're everywhere. I mean, everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's a garage, a spa shop, a tiny little shop that you think, oh, well, you know, does it actually sell anything bar bread and butter? And you go in there and there's a massive deli up the back. And here we are on the coast. Yeah, that is a top tip before you start going around places like Scotland and Wales and England, because England's becoming really difficult unless you do it properly. Believe me, I've got away with it because I'm in William. I'm in a car, so a lot of people don't really expect me to be sleeping in it. I can't go any further. Well, I could, but there we go. You can see the tide coming in as well, just over there. Look how calm that is. Not calmer than it has been for the last few days. And believe me, I've scared enough people. I was in the Yorkshire Dales by a reservoir near Ramsgill, sorry, near Ramsgill. And I kicked the towel up off of William, and there was a bloke just coming in behind me to park. I'm just like, oh, morning. Another place where I was in Staines, up on the northeast coast, and this was back when I used to keep the silver parting at the back of it, because it just kept the sun out, because it was really hot back in the summer. And because where people have been signing on William, you can't see much of them now, signing on William, they're reading it, and I didn't really realise, because I hadn't put my hearing aids in, pushed the thing over. I've heard this yelp from the dog, and even bigger yelps from the husband and wife duo that was walking the dog. But yeah, if you're going there, as I said, back on being polite, you know, will get you a hell of a long way. And another top tip, and everybody will give you this for any seasonal van life, car life, or whatever you want to call it. Person travelling around a vehicle, that was one. If you're just starting off with your vehicle, take it out for, at the very minimum, a week, if not 2 weeks. Because you might think you've got everything where you need it and everything's brilliant and everything like that. I can guarantee after 2 weeks of spending time in it, you will look at it and go, right, that needs to move, that doesn't work, I don't even know why we got that. That thing over there is completely useless. The bed is so uncomfortable, we got to redesign that. How the hell do we get from the front to the back if it's raining? And you'll come up and after that time you'll end up with something that's more workable. Just like me, I always plan to push the covers up in the back of William, put the cooker on the back of William, sit in my chair, you know, maybe do a bit of skateboarding and do my cooking from there. I think I've done it all of twice in over 8 months. 9 times out of 10 I sit in the back of William, put my skateboard on my chair and then put the cooker on top of the skateboard, or if not, because I can't, because I want to be lazy and I'm charging my phone, I sit in the driver's seat, put the skateboard on the floor, and then put the fire on top of the skateboard, which I will share in the comments, and you can see me doing that. But other than that, that's my guides and tips for doing the North Coast 500. And if you want to go travelling in your van, car, motorhome, bits and pieces like that. And that's from my experience of doing this for over 8 months continuously. You know, and if you don't believe me, you can either check me out on Facebook as Garth Burkhardt, as it is on top of the description thing. I really do need to learn to do some editing. Or you can check me out on YouTube, which will be out there fast paced through a lot of the videos on which is 16 years and now kid free. And if you forget that name, just click on the button where it says, you know, on my post, look at my cover photo. Oh no, we'll look through my cover photos and you'll see a picture of William, and it's got it 16 years and now kid free written down the side of William. And on a funny note, some of the jokes I've had about that, you know, with people pulling up to stand beside me when we're in traffic jams on motorways, not that that ever happens in England, and they've got kids in the back, they're like, oh, do you want mine? Do you want mine? I said, no, no. You know, I've had people putting little notes underneath the windscreen wiper that just says like wishful thinking or have a happy adventure or lucky get. I had one memorable old lady, I'm guessing she was a nan when I was over in Derry in Ireland, Northern Ireland, sorry, over there, and I'll leave you on this one. there, and she's got a kid in a pushchair, and I'm guessing it was her grandchildren, and she's pointing at me, then pointing to herself and going, 56 years, and then pointing at her daughter, 56 years, 56 years, and of course she had a big old giggle and everything like that. So I'm guessing that is my top tip. Remember, you're going to have stressful times, but just look forward to the happy times and draw them in and try not to get run over. So, keep yourself happy. Can't wait until I see all you people out there, because no doubtly after the next 4 months I'm actually carry on trying to do this because I've got addicted to it. Take it easy, keep adventuring, and love you, bye.